I was like, oh, is there countdown?
Hello, I'm Sam Roberts. I'm one of the two creators of Red Scare. I'm here with Kevin Joy and Chelsea Alden. I am pointing at them even though they're not actually. I don't know. But Kevin plays Johnny, Chelsea plays Irene, and this is our Red Scare episode 2 and 3 live chat. So I'm sure I will repeat this a bunch of times over the course of the live chat, but if you want to send in your questions with the Q&A thing or the chat option, we will try and answer them live on the air. Yeah. And otherwise, we will just ramble, as we're very good at that, and talk about all the fun we had, and try and get into some interesting stuff. And I think, let's see.
Yeah. Can I have them if people want to tweet at me too? I'll keep an eye on them. Any questions?
Oh yeah. If you wanna tweet at us, we will also be getting those live. But if you're watching, there's probably like a little chat window right underneath.
Ah.
And obviously, welcome. So last week we did another chat with Teresa Decker, who plays Judy, and that's my girlfriend walking around in the background, and Dominic Conti, who plays Officer Hoover in episode 1. And if you have not watched episode 1,
hilarious.
He's hilarious. Brought a lot of comedy to a pretty small part, but an important part. And right at the end, we had a question from Renee Averett.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start with that. And she asked, what inspired us to make Red Scare?
That's a question for you, Sam.
That's a question for me. So I'll just keep talking. But the short version is, hold on, I think we just lost Kevin. The short version is, okay, he's coming back. The short version is that I had been really interested for a while in like doing something kind of underground or like a contained thriller or like a horror story, and I was like trying to find a cool twist on it, and I love the 1950s look and feel and that Fallout shelter kind of thing, and so I had this funny idea. Like where it really came from was this idea that like, what if there were a vampire in a Fallout shelter, and like suddenly there's no day and there's no night, there's no sunlight. Like a vampire is a really dangerous threat. Because all of the tools that you usually have at your disposal for figuring out who a vampire is or for protecting yourself from a vampire are just gone.
Point.
What?
That's a really good point. I didn't quite think that.
I tried to put it in the log line, like without or unable to go out into the sunlight, but I think it's a little subtle. Motorcycles. But so then suddenly I came up with the name Red Scare, which I thought was like the funniest pun ever. And because I'm really dorky, and so I just went around and like this was a running joke I had for a long time. Like I would just be like, I have this great idea for a web series. It's a vampire in a bomb shelter in the 50s, and it's called Red Scare. and I was in it with the hands, and everyone would be like, haha, that's funny, and then that was the end of it. Yeah. But then Tom, my co-creator, who is not here right now, he heard that and he was like, oh my god, that's amazing, we should do that, because he's a really big fan of Agatha Christie novels and Clue, the movie and the board game, and we both love the game Mafia, which is a really fun party game. And have you played Mafia, Chelsea?
Oh, I slay at Mafia.
I believe it.
That out there.
We should have played as a group. That would have been really fun.
I think we were all a little busy sleeping when we weren't acting.
Or creating a live action. There's some review that was like, it acts like a murder mystery, but really like the biggest debt it owes is to Mafia, the party game. And I was like, yeah, they got it.
Oh, good. It definitely has that vibe.
Yeah, like you don't really know who, especially episode 3, which we'll get to soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Tom was the one who legitimized it and was like, no, I really think we should do this. And he comes from like a theater background, and had just moved out to LA to try and do more like screen stuff. film and TV. And so we were just like, let's like make a thing. We're tired of sitting around writing scripts that aren't getting shot.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then suddenly, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week also, but suddenly it kind of ballooned. We found our director Lee Citron, and he was like, no, we're going to do this right, because he's a really legit director. And then we got through a friend, we found Kelly, our casting director, who yeah, Chelsea is clapping, and we cannot sing her praises loudly enough.
We love Kelly.
We love Kelly, and maybe she'll join us for one of these. She joined us for one a while ago, but so she she was just through a friend of a friend, but suddenly we were casting amazing actors instead of like our friends, and we were shooting it on a set instead of in my basement, which was the original plan. Mm-hmm. And that's the story of Red Scare. It kind of just spiraled.
I'm so glad that it did, because like I have to say, like, going and being on the set, like even just walking in that first day, going and parking at 5:30 in the morning and strolling into what looked like a rundown bank in the middle of Reseda, you're like, what am I walking into right now? And going in there and just seeing this bomb shelter built out of nothing, like from just ground up, was so it was so cool. It was like the whole family world had been created, and it really helped with the whole acting process, because there was so, the more you have production value, the better your co-stars are, the less work you have to do, the more it just comes easily, and you can just be the character and interact with the people around you in that space. And I feel like you guys totally nailed it and made it like the easiest world for us.
It's funny that you say you guys, because I had the exact same reaction that you did. Because like I said, we were trying to shoot it in our basement originally, and so like when I walked into set, obviously I had hired a lot of the crew, and I had been there for a lot of the meetings and stuff, but I was also working during the day, and so I would like, I kept showing up, and suddenly like we had a fallout shelter, and it's just like, where did this come from? And suddenly like, you guys all showed up in costume, and that was the moment for me where I was like, oh my god, like this is real, this is a thing, like it's so. And I remember watching that. So our director of photography, who's amazing, Patrick Jones, he did it. He was such a big part of how it feels so cinematic, and the production values seem to be so much higher than they actually are. I mean, I think people sometimes think that we're a higher budget series than we actually are. But he did this. We shot it on the red, which he insisted on, and everyone was like, don't let he's some like guy who's just gonna try and like use your money to like practice around, like flew around on a red camera. And then we shot the first shot, which is the tracking shot from episode 1, where it like pans across the entire fallout shelter, and everyone's doing different things, and people are playing with the radio and stuff. And Tom and I and Kelly, who was there also, and we all just like watched the footage, and we're like, oh no, like this guy knows how to use this camera, and this guy knows how to make beautiful footage, and like I'm so glad that we did what he wanted, instead of thinking, that we trusted him, and I feel like a big part of it was just that we trusted everybody to do a really good job.
Totally.
Well, it looks so great. I think one of the things I was most excited about was every day seeing what we had shot, or going behind the camera and watching what they were doing while the other actors were acting. I was just like, oh my god, this looks so good. He just did such a great job of really kind of capturing the space and the lighting and the mood and everything else.
Yeah. I mean, did it feel that way on set? Like, not when you were watching the footage, but on set, did it feel? I mean, I guess Chelsea, you were saying before that it did. But,
yeah, I mean, it really feel. You walk through the door, the little door there, and then they close up. They put that bookcase back, and suddenly you didn't have a door, and you're like, oh no, I'm in a fallout shelter right now, and it just really did. It really encompassed. I don't know. I just really felt like I was in the space, and I liked it. I felt like I was like with my homies in my space. I don't know. It was great.
Were you afraid?
I did too. That's
Say that again, Kevin.
I said I did too. I felt the same way. That space was so great to shoot in. It just really made you feel like you were in that fallout shelter in the 50s. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And like we were stuck together, and which we kind of were if you think about it. Like it really was. I mean, it was our core cast, and it was just like us, and well, guys, we're in it, you know. So it both on and off set, it sort of created that camaraderie, I think, which really helped with the overall series as a whole.
I mean, that was one of the things that really drew us to the idea. Also, when we started working on it, was the idea that like there were the core cast thing that you were saying, that there are no small parts in Red Scare.
Yeah.
And every character kind of is interesting and is there for, you know, like, so there's no extras.
Right.
And so I think it helped with the camaraderie. And it was really exciting to not write hostess or like police, even like Officer Hooper is not a police officer. He's like a real person. You don't get to do that very often.
True.
Yeah, you don't. It was nice. It was fun. I did feel like we were so close as a cast while we were shooting. It was a lot of fun.
I loved it. And, you know, I think it's saying something, that the fact that, like, out of how many cast members do we have? 9?
Mm-hmm.
10?
Yeah.
But I've pretty much stayed in touch with most of them. Like, and I mean, I talked to like Teresa on a pretty regular basis, and it turns out I posted the first episode when it launched on MetaCafe, and another friend of mine who I didn't know when we were shooting the series tagged her friend, who turns out to be Nate's girlfriend, and she remembers when he was shooting the series, and she was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, this is like Inception right now!" Like,
I remember meeting her at we had that barbecue early on.
Yeah.
To film the Kickstarter video, and she was there. Nate's girlfriend. Are they still together then?
I think it's the same girl. Gosh, this could get awkward.
Well, if she remembers when we were filming, then that's the same person.
No, my friend who knows his girlfriend remembers when he was filming it.
Oh.
So they must have been together then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. I think. I don't know. I think I just took us in a really weird direction. We get next question.
You got your bases covered. You're good.
Next question.
Yeah, I mean, sure, all of the fans were like, "Oh, Nate's girlfriend was there at the bar. Who?" He plays Gert, who is our tragically accented Romanian foreign exchange student.
He was into that accent too.
What?
He was into that accent, like.
Oh yeah, he would like sign emails, Gert, for a long time afterwards to us. It was so funny. I mean, he's such a fun person to have on set, Nathaniel, because he jokes around and he keeps it light and he does funny impressions and things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
But I guess that can lead us into maybe into a discussion of what happened in these episodes. Yeah. So what do we want to talk about?
Well, at the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
It was very tragic.
Yeah, that's the moment where shit gets real. I mean, stuff gets real.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll beep that out.
Yeah, so I mean that's a question that I think is really interesting to hear from you guys. But how did you navigate the comedy versus the drama of it, and finding how did you do that for your characters and in those moments? Because I was really impressed by the way you guys were able to like turn on a dime, and I was really nervous going into it that would not play, but it totally plays. And I think like that's a great scene. That end of episode 2 is a great moment of that where suddenly it goes from being a comedy to like, Chelsea, you're like really breaking down, and it's like really sad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would actually say the funny thing is it didn't feel at all like a comedy when we were shooting it. I don't know if that was true for you, Kevin, but like it felt like legit drama. Like, especially as
Totally.
the episodes progressed. You know what I mean? Like as they were going further on, it was like you'd walk on and set would be a little bit more somber. Like it was getting heavy, you know. And I think that it was really in credit to you, Sam, and to Tom for the way that you wrote the dialogue for the characters. That we didn't have to play for the comedy. It was just you played it real and you played for who your character was, and that comedy just innately came out in the dialogue. You know what I mean? So we didn't have to necessarily switch on a dime or anything. You just played that character. Like when you already did the toothpaste, right? That was in episode 1.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's one of my favorite moments. It was so great. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like pushed and you weren't going for like being kitschy or funny. It was just like this really genuine, innocent high school kid is like,
Yeah.
look, I
Well,
found this.
it was so. I mean, and I'm sure Kevin, you were probably aware of this because I feel like this was like after we cast you, we were still working on this. But it was so finding the comedy for like Johnny was a hard character to figure out. He was actually the hardest character to figure out, weirdly. Like Irene, we knew who Irene was from like the word go. But Johnny, you know, because he was kind of like early on, he takes charge and he's kind of the heroic guy, and figuring out how to like where that character's humor comes from, and just like we realized that we could make him really earnest and like just really sincere, and that makes him both lovable and endearing, but also really funny. Because like
Well, yeah, that's why I saw Johnny as. So it was like he was like I always pictured him as a puppy dog.
Yeah.
He's very courageous and he like cares about what he's doing, but he's like like that to everybody and earnest, like has his tongue out, like always like that, kind of like a dog. So it's always like he's just so earnest and such a little child in everything that he does, but always wants to do the best.
Yeah.
But I just think the script was written so well, and I think that's what Chelsea was saying is we never had to play at the comedy because even though we were dealing with archetypes, they were so specific and they were so real that if you just played that, the humor came out because we weren't playing at characters or at writing that made them archetypes that are like, okay, it was real people who happened to encompass each of those kind of paradigms of the 1950s. So I think the writing was just great and brought out all the humor even in the difficult moments because the characters were so great.
Yeah. And then the way you guys edited the final product and then that score, I mean, it just really enhanced the comedy elements of it exactly where they needed to be. So like as soon as it was getting a little too serious and you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? It'd be like doo 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 doo, and it would cut away, and it was just so great and well placed, just enough to keep it in that comedic genre, which I loved. I think it made it so entertaining.
I mean, that was. I really want to get Giona, our composer, on here one of these days because he is. First of all, you guys haven't met him, have you?
Mm.
He is like
doing
the
ADR?
nicest. What?
Was he there when we were doing ADR?
No, that was Adi, our editor, and our post supervisor Garrett. But Giona is he's this. I mean, he's just the nicest, most like energetic, positive person that I've ever worked with. You guys are close seconds. But like, I mean, we worked on that score. That score was really. We were both just. I think part of it was we were both really into it. But like, we worked on that score probably like every other Saturday for a year or something. And at the end of it, I was like, you know, thank you so much for like working so hard on this. I think it turned out amazingly. And he was like, when do we do episode 9? Like, and I think he did it for free too. Like he was like working every day for a year or every week for a year, and like was just like, I want to keep doing this because this is so fun. And I think it really shows that the score is incredible. We won an award for it actually.
That's great. Yeah.
You know.
I want to add, the music is great. Where did you guys get all the 1950s music that tops off every episode?
Oh, that's from archive.org, which you know, if you are an aspiring independent filmmaker who is watching this, archive.org is amazing. It's all public domain stuff, and it's they have this outside. Sorry, it's really distracting. But they just like have all this free stuff, and it's like old. It's actually most of the music is more from the 40s, like late 40s technically, because that's the stuff that's more in the public domain. But it was just a lot of listening to that music and finding songs that we felt were both fun and captured the mood and also had something thematic to say about the series. And we tried to use it as a moment, like we were really conscious in general of like you guys said, it was a drama a lot of the time, and so we were really conscious of like using those songs to be like, but this is still fun, guys.
Yeah.
Like this, like this is serious, but also like you're supposed to be enjoying this. This is entertainment. This is not like you're not supposed to leave the show feeling sad.
Yeah.
The music at the end of the episodes was just so perfect every episode.
Every
the way
time.
that you guys framed it was just great.
That was that was I don't know. I'll take credit for that. Thanks, guys. Yeah, there were some moments where I wanted to go sadder, and Tom was the one who kept me in check most of the time. He was like, no, you can't make this serious. You can't make this sad. And like I think in one draft I wanted to have somebody like kill themselves because there was I can't take it anymore. And he was like, what are you talking about? This is a comedy. So
It's already a lot of death, and yet it's still a comedy.
yeah, it's a dark comedy. We just entered the streamies of the drama, so don't tell anyone. What?
Where's the dog? I hear it.
Oh yeah, he's right. I'm sitting on a stool, so I'm pretty high up. He's down, or he just left, but
Oh,
he's around.
so cute.
That's my guy Maynard.
I'm going to pop out for 1 second. I'll be right back. My son's calling me.
Yep.
I'm gonna take one second to see if people are asking us questions. Right now, it seems like they're not, but let's look on Facebook just to make sure.
I ain't got nothing on Twitter.
Hold on. Chelsea, do a dance.
Hey, yo! La 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 la. You notice that I didn't even like pause or ask a question. You were just like dance, and I was like, okay.
We had not all my friends were in the Shakespeare group in high school, and like the running joke was whenever you lost or whenever you like forgot your line, you would just say, "Come, cuz, let's see thee dance," and then the other person would do a dance, and it became like a running joke in that Shakespeare group. I think they still do it. All my dance moves are from bar mitzvahs.
Those are good moves, Sam.
Oh yeah, those are my Jewish dance moves.
Have you heard anything from Jordan? Is he gonna try and pop in at any one of these?
I'm working on it. I'm working on him.
He's my neighbor, so I run into him frequently.
That's cool. I actually haven't seen him in a while.
I'll tell him when I see him next.
Yeah, just like nag him about it. Tell him you're gonna punch him every time you see him until he shows up.
Okay, good. This is great. I'm so glad that you guys found him, because I remember reading the script.
Yeah.
And I remember even at the callbacks, Kelly was like, I really like you, and she was, I think she was saying something, or we were emailing back and forth, and she was saying how Dino was kind of like a difficult character for you guys to cast. Is that true? Just because he was so specific?
Well, a big problem we had a couple big problems in casting, or challenges, I would say. They're not problems. But one challenge was that people kept coming in and playing things more modern. So like a lot of people came in and played like didn't really get the greaser reference actually, or like it happened a lot with Irene and Johnny specifically, weirdly enough. Like people kept coming in and playing Irene kind of like, like Amanda Seyfried in Mean Girls.
Oh, okay.
Like a ditzy blonde. and people kept coming in and playing Johnny as like a baller, you know, like a basket. They saw a basketball player and they were like, oh, I know who this guy is. He wears like long mesh shorts, and it was like, no, he wears very short shorts.
Yeah.
And
That's too.
I think Kevin's not here, but I remember him saying that like that was how he really got into character, was when he put on those short shorts. And
wearing my cheerleader outfit. I loved it. I loved prancing around all the time in that costume. It was so much fun, especially because I was the only one, like, it was like Johnny and Audrey in their blue and white, and they were a unit. And then I was like, ha! I'm green and yellow. Mm.
Yeah, that was something that we were very like we were very conscious of very early on, was like making those two schools feel kind of different, so that it would like. But I love that green and yellow. That costume is really fun.
So great. Hey, I have a question for you. When did you guys go, and where did you shoot the stuff from the opening sequence, like the gymnasium and the hallway?
That was at some high school. That was all Lee. And that was the kind of cinematic stuff that Lee really brought to the table. Was he was like, we need something at this opening, and like it needs to be like an empty school. Yeah. And he went and shot it one day on his Canon camera.
It looks amazing.
He like, threw out some fake posters and stuff, and it was like literally a few hours of work. And I think it like dramatically changed the entire project.
It totally and completely sets up the beginning so well, like with the siren, and then just the panning down the empty halls and the basketball rolling across the floor.
I love that basketball. Yeah.
It was like the best. I'm so glad that he wanted to do that, because it really does set the tone so much more. Then you really feel like you're in that fallout shelter with the actors. You know what I mean?
I just didn't believe he could do it. I was like, have at it. We'll see if it turns out well. Maybe we'll put it in the series. And I was like, I turned to Tom and I was like, yeah, like there's no way this is going to turn out well.
Production value too.
Say it again.
It adds a lot of production value to it as well. Opening up, it just creates a whole new
experience. Just to, because I didn't actually finish my thought about casting.
Oh yeah.
The hard part about Dino, so no one really got the greaser reference, and so like a lot of people came in and like didn't realize he was supposed to be kind of stupid, and so like they play him like this like tough guy cop, you know, like he was, because you know he has all that like the stuff with the gun, and he's like, we got to be on the lookout, and they would just like play it totally straight, and it was like we slowly realized that like it's very hard to find someone who can convincingly play a dumb character, because you have to be, you actually have to be really smart to play a dumb character.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan really brought that. He also is he's a really interesting actor. He brings a lot of unpredictability to his performances, I think. Did you guys feel that way? I mean, not even about Jordan specifically, but like I felt like, especially watching the footage in the editing room and stuff, that like all of you guys had such really brought really different energies to your performances in a way that I thought was really fun, like bouncing those off each other.
You know who I felt that from the most, honestly, was Heather. She was really just hit the nail on the head with her different character choices, because you just never knew what to expect, and she just like reached in and grabbed that character so well, and you guys will see as it goes along, as the series goes along and her character progresses more, but she was fabulous to work with. Her
yeah, I mean, she gets better and better. I want to get her on the show too.
Yeah. Great.
By the way, I notice we have viewers now.
Whoa!
Viewers, do you have any questions for us? You can put them in the chat window, and I think we can see them, or you can put them in the Q&A app thing, and then we can answer them. Oh, hey, there are some questions here.
Oh, we have questions.
So, uh, Eric says, looking good. Thanks, Eric. The question is, right now we have questions, are you actor in this movies? Yes, I'm not. But here, you guys say things and pop up, and you can see they are.
How do we see the? Do you only you see the questions?
On the left, if you go to the left side, there should be a little thing that says Q&A. Let me see if I can.
I'm in a full screen here, so I don't. Maybe if I get out of full screen. How do I navigate the system? You, Red Scare, Kevin, K. Accomplished that.
Yep. Do you guys do you see do you see Q&A on the left side?
Oh yeah.
So you can see the questions that people have posted.
Oh, look at that.
Firas is I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. It wants to know about basically just wants to see you guys, I think.
And he wants a link. He wants a link to them. If you go to metacafe.com on the 10K channel, started episode 1, and there's 3 up so far.
You can also go to www.redscare.tv/episodes, and all of the Metacafe episodes are up there, so the first 3 episodes are up there as well. And we will be releasing another episode every Friday until the 8th and final episode.
Nice. Eric said that he liked hearing the origin of the show and how the opening shots were created and set the tone. I agree, Eric. I'm glad we had that conversation.
Eric is actually our 10K friend. Eric created the web series 10,000 Days, which is the genesis of the 10K channel.
Oh, cool.
Eric, if you have any more questions for us, feel free to throw them in. I think your questions are better than ours.
Yeah.
And then we answered this question too. That's cool. Yeah, we're answering. We're just like tearing through them.
Audience. Oh, I see. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty good setup. Because then theoretically, people who are in the Q&A app can also see the questions on the side and then ask questions or answer them. Yeah. Let's see, where were we before we started answering questions?
About casting.
Yeah. Casting. Tell me about your perspective of casting, because I feel like I had the opposite. Yeah. I'm curious if you.
You know, I loved the casting experience only because, like, when I first got the sides, I immediately loved Irene just as a character. She made me laugh, and especially because I'm not at all an Irene type of person. Like, I'm not like a in-your-face kind of girl, and she just really likes to assert herself even when she doesn't know what she's talking about. That made me laugh. And so especially that scene that you guys gave, which I think originally
that was Tom's scene, actually. Tom, because we realized that, like, we loved Irene from the word go, but we didn't have a great Irene scene. She just had a lot of funny one-liners.
Yeah.
And so we wrote that scene in just for the casting, and then we were like, we have to post it. The place where it really clicked for me, like who Irene was when Tom showed me that line. I'm flying, and I was like, oh, that's who she is. She doesn't like, she's not particularly well educated, but she acts, but she doesn't care. She's super.
She asserts herself even when she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah. And like I feel like that moment where we realized that Huey and Irene were kind of from the other side of the tracks was a really important turning point in how we thought about those characters and how we thought about Irene in particular. Sure. That West Plainview is a little bit nicer, a little bit wealthier, and that East Plainview is like a little bit more rough and tumble.
Yeah.
But obviously, like I think Irene and Huey are really lovable characters, and I think I have such a soft spot in my heart for both of them. That
Oh,
makes me sad. There was a line that we ended up cutting, but I don't. Did you even do that line, or did we cut it on set? Where it was like when Huey dies at the end of episode 2, where Irene would go, he never even kissed a girl, and it was just like, and it was so sad and like to me it was like the encapsulation of their relationship is that like
that's what's important.
no, but like that's Irene's way of like thinking about how sad this is that like he didn't, he never kissed a girl.
Yeah. I think when push came to shove within that moment, it became such a dramatic moment. I don't think there was any way I could have uttered those words. I was like heaving with sobs. It's
I mean, and yeah, it comes across. I think it all comes across.
Yeah.
And you guys have such a palpable affection on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I love Ellington, and we've run into each other a couple times at auditions actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, since then, like commercial auditions, and we'll usually try and make it so we can like pair up and go in together.
That's fun.
Yeah.
He's blowing up.
No.
Yeah.
Hashtag R5.
Speaking of blowing up, we have some more questions.
Blowing up.
One of them is relevant to. One of them is about you blowing up, because Eric wants to know what you're up to right now.
So much awesome stuff actually, which has really, really been fun this year. I actually just got back from Comic-Con, which was my first year there, and I was promoting a new paranormal web series that I'm working on called Necroelectric, which was super fun. We were at a booth and we were doing autographs, and you can check that out at necroelectric.com. I don't think we have a teaser and a trailer up, but the first episode hasn't been released yet.
The trailer is sadly mostly Chelsea free.
Yeah, as is the I think, yeah. I'm not even when the first episode comes out. I don't come in until episode 2. So, but I'm really badass. I have supernatural powers.
That's cool. I'll have to go check it out.
And then I've been a series regular now on The Online Gamer, which is a really popular web series about a gamer who is a hardcore Call of Duty fan. And I came in last season playing his new girlfriend and kind of like the straight good man to his wild and crazy antics. And it's sad because this is the last season now and it's ending. But you can watch that. That's on YouTube.
This is the last season for sure.
Yep, it's ending, and I think they just released episode 5 yesterday, and there's only 8 episodes in this season, so there's only 3 left.
I haven't watched any of the season yet. Does it have a happy ending?
You're just gonna have to wait and see. You're just gonna have to wait. I like how it ends. I think it's great. But you're gonna have to.
I can see it. I don't know if you guys have watched that show, but I could see it going both ways. I could see it with like a, he finally overcomes his character flaws and becomes a more normal person, or it goes like Seinfeld-y and like everything that he ever did, every mean thing he ever said to somebody in a LAN game comes back to haunt him.
Anything is possible. And yeah, so that's been going really good. And then I've been super excited with the re-release of Red Scare now on MetaCafe. That's people are really responding to it, which I think is so cool because it's one of my favorite projects that I've worked on, and I'm really happy that it's getting a platform where it can reach a lot of people. And working on I just did another short film last year that's going to be at the Holly Shorts Film Festival in a couple weeks.
I'm going to be there, incidentally. My friend Matt also has a film in that, so.
I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Is that the short film with you in the car?
No, that was for Hallmark, and that was an exclusive short that I did. Specifically, they have a website called Hallmark Spirit Clips, which is like their own kind of Netflix. Like I think you pay $2.99 a month or something, and you can stream any Hallmark movie ever.
Whoa.
And have access to these short films that they make, which was so much fun to shoot that because they like did my hair all blue and I was like totally kind of gothed out, and I got to drive that car, which was
Yeah, you did a great job. That was an awesome short.
oh, thank you. It was really, really fun to do that. I had a blast working.
Kevin, where did you see it? Can we see it elsewhere, or?
I feel like, where did I see it? I don't know. You must have posted it at some point, and I watched it through that.
I think I can repost it. I'll have to find out. I know I have a copy of it, but I don't know like if I can post it individually. There's clips of it in my reel, but
Yeah.
if you go to Hallmark Spirit Clips, you might be able to watch it. It's called Camaro.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so, Kevin, I think you missed the beginning of this, but we were answering Eric's question of what are you guys up to now?
Yeah, sorry, my internet keeps cutting out on me, so I keep trying to reboot it. Yeah, just kind of doing the same thing. I worked on a show called Surviving Jack not too long ago that was on Fox.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, short-lived. I got canceled halfway through the season, but yeah, otherwise just worked on other web series and some short films. I worked on a little project with John Swetnam, who has a movie called Into the Storm coming out.
Yeah.
Something on that a couple months ago, which was fun, and kind of just taking whatever comes my way. So.
What did you do on Into the Storm, Kev?
I wasn't in Into the Storm. He wrote it. That's his film, but we did another film that he's getting funding for right now that's like a found footage sci-fi kind of film.
Nice.
That's his take on the whole genre, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. My friend Stephanie, who's one of my co-stars on Necroelectric, is in, or at least shot a scene for the opening of Into the Storm, but she hasn't seen it yet. She said she might have been cut out, but
I can't wait to go see it. It looks great.
yeah, it looks incredible. They had an Oculus at Comic-Con of Into the Storm. Have you guys ever done an Oculus thing?
I heard they were all over Comic-Con, but I haven't tried it yet.
They were everywhere. I only got to do the Game of Thrones one, but holy bleep, it was rad and terrifying and so awesome, and I think that the Oculus is a definite sign of our future in entertainment.
Wait, so what is it?
Okay, you remember Total Recall?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like that. You're gonna put this like goggles on, these all-encompassing goggles, and then you put headphones on. And specifically for the Game of Thrones one, they put you into this like little cage. Like there was like 6 of them. That was kind of like this old elevator-looking cage thing. And as soon as you put on the goggles, you're in a 3-dimensional world that's completely separate. And for that one specifically, you are on a mountain in an elevator in a snow-covered world where there was not a soul alive. And literally, like, you look up, you look sideways, it's the whole thing. And then it's like you're in an elevator and you're going up, and the floor shakes and the wind and it gets cold. It was so cool.
Oh, so it's like the wall.
Crazy.
When you take that elevator up to the top of the wall.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It was so rad and kind of terrifying.
Is that the thing that Google just bought?
I have no idea.
Facebook bought it.
Facebook bought it. Okay.
So we will use it to virtually see our friends.
I think it'll probably incorporate its way maybe into video games first. I don't know. I don't know how they intend to use it, but it seems like that would be a way.
Yeah, I don't even know how you would make a movie that feels so complicated.
I don't think you could. That's why I'm thinking I feel like it would have to be something where you could be involved in it. You know what I mean? Because you feel it like you're a character within that realm. So I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with that technology, but as far as going to Comic-Con, that was rad.
Did you guys ever watch the Star Trek series?
Yeah.
Any of it? I'm a total closet Trekkie. I love all that stuff. But like the holodeck in the show.
Yeah.
That's always been my dream of video games. Which I think like the Oculus would be close, that you're actually living in this space that's like projecting and creating kind of a video game or scenario around you.
Exactly. Aw, thanks, Eric. He said he likes my red hair. I do too.
I'm trying to put something into the chat because Firas is again asking us for the link and raised a good point that we should type it out. So
how do we see the chat?
I have typed it out. Can we see this in the chat? Let's find out.
I'm gonna check.
I'll try it here also. Oh, I can put a link, I think. Nope, that's not right.
I don't
www.reds.
have a chat window, so or I mean like a texting window. So
It's on the. If you go to the left side, there's a little chat window or chat button. It's like the second one down.
oh
And
yeah,
Oh,
oh
there we
yeah,
go.
there's
chat.
a link. I don't know. I don't know if you can see that, but I posted it on the page where we're streaming, and also on in the chat. So hopefully you can see it one of those two places, and you can let us know. But hold on, I'm gonna select these and remove them because we're answering all these questions that we're getting. Uh, and here's a new one. Max Pro FIFA wants to know what your favorite part was about filming the episodes. Can you guys do this in a non-spoilery way?
Well, I can because I've seen everything that I've been thus far. Kevin,
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking.
My favorite,
Put you guys on the spot. Ha!
like favorites. I'm trying to think. I mean, I just think the entire experience was so fun. I mean, it's hard to pick out a certain moment that was my favorite scene. I think I really loved the first day of shooting
Yeah.
with all the group scenes because it felt like a play to me in the vault. The way that we kind of staged it and did it, and that was the only day I think that we got to have everybody on set. So there was such a great energy and great excitement with all the cast there, and us kind of figuring it out and diving in. So even though I loved every day, probably the first day was the most fun because we got to be with everybody and really start to figure out the feel of Red Scare and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think I would say the same thing. Like, even as painstaking as that opening sequence was of trying to get that shot with everybody in it, just because of blocking alone and trying to get it as one seamless thing took quite some time, if we all recall. I think it really was the most fun because we did all get to be there at the same time. And exactly what you were saying, Kevin, like it really felt like a play, like a group cast, you know, and that was kind of a... And you got to see a little snippet of every character in that one shot, you know what I mean? You got to see Judy and her, like, saucy little I'm too cool for school, and then the interaction between Huey and Irene, and Vivian, ooh, her little thing, and then Dom, every time that vault door would shut and he would riff on a new hilarious thing, bombs exploding. It was so great. He's such a wonderful improver.
yeah, he was cracking me up. I was having the hardest time keeping a straight face in that scene.
I think
So funny.
I think my favorite line is when him and Huey are sitting on the couch and Huey's like, "Have you ever shot anybody?" He's like, "Oh, well, not on purpose."
Yeah.
You just get so
He did 7 or 8 different jokes that were amazing for that. I should go find them in our footage and like make a little reel of all of his improvs for those beats.
You make a blooper reel, right?
We have a blooper reel, but it's more bloopers than it is like alt takes and funny stuff like that.
Do you think you'll release that on Metacafe after the series is fully released?
That is a question for Eric, but I believe we are planning on releasing the blooper reel on Metacafe. I believe it's also it might be down on our Vimeo page right now, but it'll be available. We'll make it known, and it's very, very funny.
You definitely have to wait till all the episodes are out though, because there's a lot of spoilers.
Yes, we were kind of alluding to some of the funny thing, like the scene with the mattress that we used in this as a stunt. That's a really good one. And I think is there stuff with the door? I'm trying to remember. Because that door, one of the funny things about that vault door was that it didn't actually lock.
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
Or I guess it did, but it was really, it like required a lot of work.
That's right, and it kept like creaking back open.
Yeah.
First shot, we all were like, lock the door! And then we're in there doing that scene. That's probably part of why it took so long. And then it's like,
Yeah, this massive like steel door that looks like it weighs a ton is just creeping open every time we tried to close it.
Or like you'd slam it shut and we'd be like, don't get it. And you'd be like, well, now we know it's not locked.
Yeah.
yes, to the blooper reel.
Yeah, so the blooper reel will be online. and we'll be there. We'll be there at the end of the series. So stick around for episode 8.5.
Bye, Eric.
Bye, Eric.
Thanks for asking those
Thanks for
questions.
asking the questions. I'll talk to you soon. And let's. Oh, oops. So.
Hey, Sam, what are you working on now?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I am kind of in between things. I was working on The Following, the Fox show starring Kevin Bacon, as a script coordinator. But right now I'm focusing more on my own stuff. And I just finished a new pilot about ghost cops,
Ooh.
which is something that I'm now starting to send out to some people to try, and I'm seeking representation. It's getting very insider baseball. But basically I'm looking for a manager at the moment. And then I'm writing a kind of micro-budgety movie that I would love to potentially make, and hopefully bring some of my favorite actors back for. Because I mean the real tragedy of Red Scare is that we don't get to keep working together. And so I hope that I mean, one of the things that we started talking about how if episode 2 is almost up to 100,000 views, and there might be an opportunity for us to start thinking about what Red Scare season 2 could look like. So fans, if you want Red Scare season 2, tell everyone. But
let us know.
It's been very hard to figure out, since someone dies every episode, how we can't do a straight up sequel. But how can we get all you guys back? And
Horror Story-ish.
Yeah, that's exactly. We were talking about doing something American Horror Story-ish, and that will remain mysterious for now. But maybe that's. And then Teresa, who's Judy, who was here last week, she and I are starting to talk about working on something for the web again, because she's been shooting a lot of shorts with her boyfriend, who is a writer, or is a director, cinematographer, writer.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to figure out what that will be. But you guys might all be getting calls soon.
Yeah, he's great. They called me up a while back to come in and be a part of I guess what it was is it was like a short, but how they created it was to look like a trailer for a horror movie about killer pants. Like really jammed.
I saw that. It's amazing.
Yeah, she was like, "Do you want to be in this?" And I was like, "Work with you again? Hell yeah!" So that was super fun. I went down there and I got to meet Coley and shoot with them, and it looks so great. Like, I don't know how you could watch it. I think
it's on YouTube. I think it's just out there.
Yeah, I think it's just on YouTube. Probably if you search Teresa's name, Teresa Decker, on YouTube, I'm sure it'll come up, and it's really funny. So
yeah,
go watch.
Yeah, it was very funny. I really enjoyed that.
Say that again.
I was really funny. I really enjoyed it. It's making me laugh.
It's especially fun because it starts off really it starts off pretty serious. You don't really know that it's a parody for quite a while.
I know.
You're like, oh, this is a horror. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that Teresa and Chelsea were working together on a horror movie. And then suddenly it's like, oh.
Oh, I see.
These things. But that's pretty. Yeah, everyone in the audience should go watch this because it's super fun.
And that goes to show you, like I was saying before, we created a really solid core of people. Like, Teresa and I have worked together again. I know Lee and Dominic worked together on another film. That's awesome. And I teamed up with Brittany for a little while, and I was helping her out with this charity volunteer thing for about a year, which was really fun. So you should be proud. Not only did you create a good cast of people, you just brought together a good group of people to be friends.
I mean, you guys did that primarily. I feel like the real answer is that you guys are all good people, and so you put a bunch of good people in a room, and and there was I feel like Red Scare was it's a testament to how awesome everyone is. That we were really in the trenches there, that was like it was a tough shoot in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it like that we came out of it feeling really close and not hating each other is pretty remarkable. Because I mean we shot the thing 9 days in a row.
Yeah.
And obviously some people left earlier or took a day off here and there, but pretty much certain people who, no spoilers, were there for basically 9 days in a row. And that we worked long days too.
It was fun though. Like it was, I guess that's Red Scare has probably been my favorite, like filming atmosphere that I've had out of any projects I've done, because we were all so close and we were working such long days together that we couldn't help but just bond and make each other laugh and just feel like we were all part of the fabric, like, of the project. So everyone was so involved and so attached. And you work so many projects sometimes that people don't care or can't wait to go home, and it was nice because everyone really loved being there for this.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience.
Different cast members would come back even when they weren't shooting.
Yeah.
Either.
That's true. Like, I don't want to say.
I know.
It's fine. Jordan came back on a day when he was not supposed to be shooting, just with his dog, and brought his dog to set to hang out, and that was really fun. We had a lot of set mascots. The dog, the Aero mattress.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great.
The fake dead bodies.
Yeah.
There's some really funny pictures on our Facebook page of this. So we had these dead body props because we had all those. I think it's safe to say now that there were the dead bodies start piling up in the freezer, and we didn't want to have the actors sitting there under sheets the entire time. So we put we got these like prop dummy bodies that were really bloody and gross.
They were disgusting.
Yeah.
They were really disgusting.
And there's some funny pictures. Kevin, you have some funny pictures with them.
I think there is a real good one of Kevin.
Just like spooning. It's just love.
Just a little bit of cuddling with the dead bodies, no big deal.
It was a weird moment in our lives. We needed physical intimacy, whatever.
I think one of my favorite behind the scenes photos from that whole experience was the one with the whole cast together. Where we're all making silly faces. It's just such a great moment in time captured of all of us in wardrobe, like acting like silly people.
Oh yeah, Kelly always posted that picture. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Dom's not there, but everyone else is.
Yeah.
I think that was day 2.
Yeah.
I think that was the other funny thing about it, is that we mostly shot it in order.
Yeah.
So, like, kind of dwindled. It was weird.
It was nice though. It kind of let you go through the arc of the characters in the story naturally without so many breaks, because you got to kind of do it all at once in a row.
And you missed everybody. I mean, I missed people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was something we talked a little bit about last week, though. Was also how that affected both the how that was something that we really wanted to capture, was like the way the numbers did dwindle, and how that like felt both in terms of like to the characters, but also like in terms of the space in between lines of dialogue and stuff. That like it's a lot rapid fire. It's a lot more rapid fire early on. And just like more pauses later in the series.
Sam, do you gravitate towards writing period pieces, or did that just happen to be because of that one idea and you were like, this is great, or like do you really enjoy that era of writing?
I think it's fun. I mean, it's not something that I do exclusively, but for this it felt right. I like sci-fi and fantasy and genre stuff, and so I think there's something kind of fun about a period piece in that it's almost like writing science fiction. Like you're writing in a different world.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of a neat thing. That like it's a different world, except also instead of making it all up and like, well, okay, so now there's this future where there are ghosts, and so how does that affect like the subway? or like how does that affect, like what is the government doing? Like what are the laws like? Instead of that, it's like no, this is just a different time where there are different people have different ideas and they're like they're afraid of communists and how like how does that affect everything? If you don't have to make it up, you just have to kind of filter it through,
Sure.
which is fun. I like period pieces a lot, but I think actually it's funny because they say when you're shooting something like really low budget that you shouldn't do period pieces because they're more expensive and you have to you have to dress all the locations and you have to do all period costumes and everything, and it becomes a lot more of a production challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually, at least for Red Scare, because it was all one location, I think it actually was a real benefit to us because a lot of people who maybe otherwise wouldn't have been excited to work on a low-budget murder mystery project were like our production designers, Rachel Gold and Rachel Condrath, who are amazing and did like really good work, were they loved that time period, and so that was what drew them to that project, and maybe they wouldn't have gone and done another low-budget, poorly paying project if it hadn't had that hook. Yeah. And like Giona, our composer, was like, yeah, I love Bernard Herrmann, and like I can't wait to do like a classic 1950s style score. How often do you get to do that? Everyone wants like pulsing techno. And
Rachel got nominated for production design, didn't they? For an award?
They got nominated for an IAW TV award, which is like
huge. Like as far as web series goes, that's like the award.
It's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And that's it's a huge honor and very much deserved. And then the Hollyweb Fest, we also got nominated for music, and I think that that's the advantage of the period piece, that you get amazing people and they can do really cool work. Like how good can a 2014 apartment look in a low budget web series? Like it's an apartment, like it looks like that.
Yeah.
And except it has like more posters on the wall or something. But a bomb shelter can look really cool.
Yeah. And those awesome.
Yeah.
I think that was so. I think that's one of the things that made it so great, in my opinion, Red Scare, is because there was so much innovation in figuring out how to do things with the budget. It just made everything that much better. I just feel like it was just, the set was so great, and it just really brought everyone's passion into it, like you're saying, to really create something incredible, looking, sounding, everything.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of the mistakes we made, ended up being secret boons. Like you should not write a movie, let alone a small web series with lots of big group scenes with 10 people in the room. The logistics of that are nightmarish. But the flip side was, when you write a series that has 10 characters, all of whom are important, you get really cool, you get people who want to play those roles, as opposed to who wants to play hostess, like I was saying, in some low budget web series. You're trying that's what you go get real paying roles for. You go be hostess in a TV show.
Yeah.
Not in some student film.
Oh, hey.
What?
Nothing. You said stupid film, and I was like, hey now.
No. I said student film.
Oh, okay.
If you're gonna do something small and free, you might as well
do something
you're
passionate about.
Yeah, something cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for each other?
I got
nothing comes to mind.
I got nothing.
She's saying you're really boring, Kevin.
I get that a lot. That's fine.
I feel like I did have a question for you guys though. Something about
Kevin and I didn't get to interact a whole lot during the show. We didn't have a lot of interaction. We talked, Brianne and I talked about his character, and but he and I don't have a lot together until episode 3, when I get drunk and I'm dancing all up on him and stuff, and that, Kevin, was fun.
I
That
don't.
was a good kid.
I posted a picture of an animated GIF of that on 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 our Tumblr to like for this live hangout. It was like, come party with Red Scare, and I posted it's pretty cool. If you go to redscare.tv, it's you guys dancing.
I love shooting that whole sequence with the radio, and then just because sometimes when you get to play drunk, it's just kind of fun because you're just like, woo! You know, you just kind of get to be a little silly and goofy and be a little bit more of an animated version of your character. You know, let whatever their inhibitions are, kind of let them go a little bit. And the little dip with Jordan and the cigarette, and it's just a fun little sequence.
That was great.
I loved the way you just like went for that because it felt so. It was something that we were always really aware of. In that it's like her brother did die like a day ago.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that was something that you never lost track of in those moments. That like you know that she's like drunk and partying and like having a great time because she's like
so sad and
dating. But also like at least got the bad guy, you know. And that. Yeah, like it doesn't feel like when you watch it, you don't feel like she's forgotten, which was always our concern.
I was concerned about that as well.
Did you do some method work to prepare for the drinking and smoking scene?
You know, research. It's all about research.
Right. It felt very real. I figured something had to be going on behind the scenes or something.
No, truth be told, I'm an awful smoker. I can't smoke. I tried, and I just suck at it. So I just don't smoke, and I never have. And I'm actually kind of a goody two-shoes. So that's just a little glimpse into Chelsea's life. And when you see me, I inevitably always end up smoking in something that I'm shooting. And I'm like, you guys, I look stupid. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you smoked in the Hallmark short, didn't you?
No, but I smoked
okay.
in, there was another short film that I did that never got released, but they had a scene where I was like trying to impress this older guy while I was in this truck, and so I'm like smoking, and we shot it on a soundstage in front of a green screen, but it was just like everything was going wrong and we couldn't get the shot right, so I had to like pretend to smoke like 12 of these Lucky Strike cigarettes that were just like so disgusting.
They were real cigarettes?
They were real cigarettes.
Oh, man.
I was like, I can't do it. And luckily,
that's not even fun for a real smoker.
Say again?
That's not even fun for a real smoker.
I know, right? But I can't figure out how. I can't get over the idea of like inhaling smoke into my lungs. So really, it was just like that. That's my idea of smoking.
It's so funny. You do get cast as a kind of tough girl a lot, which is not who you are at all.
Nope. I'm always getting like for the Camaro, for the Hallmark one, they wanted me to shave the side of my head, and I was like, how about this? Since we're only shooting for a day and it's a 6-minute film, how about I just braid the side of it and make it look shaved? And they were like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, okay, great. But I do get cast a lot.
Cool look though, isn't it? The shave. I feel like Natalie Dormer did that for Hunger Games.
Oh. I saw her panel. She did a Women Who Kick Ass panel.
Oh, I heard that was great.
It was a phenomenal panel. It was really, really cool. Yeah, she did. She shaved the side of her head. She looked real tough. It was like kind of intimidating.
She's really cool.
Yeah. Even when I did an episode of Squaresville, which is another web series that's done pretty well with has Mary-Kate Wiles from the Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
Yeah.
And written and directed by Matt Enlow, who now works with Key and Peele.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, super cool. He's such a great guy to work with. And but the same thing, like they have me in like a hood, full like goth makeup, colored hair, and I'm like playing this anime-loving, really manga-loving like goth chick.
Someone's been to Comic-Con lately.
Pretends to bite people and bark.
Yeah.
Well, I must be doing something right in the audition room because I've never been that girl.
Acting.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's
Quite.
just it's funny how people get cast because you're so sweet in real life and so fun, and you keep getting cast as these like goth characters. It's or like that kind of it's nasty. It's fun.
Yeah. No, I love it though. They're really
Yeah.
fun to play. Like, and for some reason, it's easy to kind of slip into that mindset. I think because at a certain point in life, at 16 or 17, there is a point in time, especially as a girl, and just having it be me and my mom growing up, there's always a period of time where you're like, I know everything, you don't know anything, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to do what I want. Like, even if it was just for a short period of time, I can at least click into that, and then just the rest is just hair and makeup.
Is that? I mean, this is just a question, like a not even a leading question, just an actual question.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you guys feel as actors that like? Do you find it easier to play characters who are more like you, or who are kind of like the opposite of you? Because I can see it going both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Go,
Or
Kevin.
go ahead.
No.
I think it's easier to click into characters like you're saying, Chelsea, that are opposite from you,
Mm-hmm.
because you can. I just feel like you can. It gets you out of your head even more because you can just dive into who they are and connect that piece of you to them, and then you're just having fun the entire time because you're so plugged into something that's completely different.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like maybe I personally do more overthinking when it's somebody similar to me instead of just getting to forget myself in somebody who's nothing like me.
Totally. I actually agree. I mean, it depends on the character and, like, what the differences and similarities are. Like, for those type of, dark, moody teenager characters, they are very different than me, but I feel like I can dip into, like, a small little piece of something in my own life to bring it as sort of a catalyst for that type of character. If it's, like, too far outside of the comfort zone or that initial realm of casting, it becomes more of a challenge. But it's always fun. It's like you're saying, Kevin. It's always fun to create a character that's different from who you are. I remember last year I went in for that new Mark Duplass series on HBO, Togetherness.
Oh,
And the
cool.
character was like, it was like 5 or 10 lines, and it was like, we want a 23-year-old babysitter. And at the time, I was nannying, and I was like 24, and I was like, I got this. This is like me. I'm walking into the room, and it really was like one of the hardest things I had to do. I was like, can't I just be myself right now? And sometimes it's just really hard to just go in and be a character who's you.
Yeah.
I think because you're trying to be you at that point instead of just being you, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, there's almost a safety or some kind of feeling about when you're playing something so different that you're not worrying about that aspect. You can just dive in and not care. But when it is similar to you, you're like, is this how I would do it? Or
Right.
like, you're like, wait, would I say it like that?
Yeah.
You feel
Like
you-
creating a character versus just kind of like it's. I imagine it's hard to create a character who is just you. Whereas when you're like going into someone different, you can
It's
like.
almost slightly more vulnerable because
Yeah.
you don't have that character to justify your actions. You're kind of like, well, this is me, and if you took me out of this, I would probably still say the same thing, and then you're really showing a part of yourself to the world that maybe you wouldn't necessarily show normally, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier when you have that character to sort of wear because it gives you permission to do things that you yourself wouldn't necessarily do, and you feel more confident and comfortable to do those things. Your actions are justified.
Yeah.
That's cool. Guys, we did it. We got to something like really deep. Something real.
Now let's talk about the origins of the universe for a second.
42.
I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy. Apparently, there are six singularities that formed the universe.
Whoa.
It's it's a good movie though. You should check it out.
I want to see it.
want to see it.
Yeah. There's something else I was gonna.
Speaking of Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy, I got to go to the Marvel panel when I was at Comic-Con, and the
Nice.
entire cast of the Avengers was there.
That's awesome.
Robert
Awesome.
Downey Jr. comes out with a case full of red roses and throws them at the audience. Oh, it was so great. He is just such a ham.
It's I mean that's kind of it's just interesting because then there's like a sense in which that's somebody who kind of plays himself.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like somehow like he really makes that work.
Totally.
But yeah, that would be, by the way, that's what I was gonna say. Like that would be the really exciting thing about doing like a second American Horror Story style Red Scare is like to cast you guys not only against like because we tried to give you guys fun things to do in first Red Scare, but now it's like cast you guys differently from the roles you played last time. Like what would those people be
Like
like?
Sarah Paulson plays in each season of
Yeah.
the story.
Um,
Or like
Kevin, you're the most sarcastic character, the snarkiest snarkster, which is a word.
Do it, Sam. Write it.
do it.
Yeah, we just need to. I don't know. We need some money.
We'll have a bake sale. It'll be fine.
A bake sale.
Yeah.
Lo-fi Kickstarter. We're getting back to our roots.
And a car wash.
Yeah. I'll get the bikini and just like.
I don't see
No,
any more questions coming in.
You do or you don't?
I don't.
I think maybe people showed up and well, Ellie said he or she was gonna watch. I think it's a guy.
Mm.
Ellie, are you there? Do you want to ask us a question? Because we might be signing out soon.
Yeah.
It's 1:15.
Wow, we've been doing this for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, should we wrap it up? Oh wait, someone just signed on. And then left.
They were like, "Oops, wrong Google chat. My bad."
Oh, I thought this was my Red Scare lecture for college.
Hmm.
I thought we were talking about the Cold War. You can learn a lot from Red Scare. My American history professor, who specializes in the 1950s in America, she laughed a lot when she watched it. that made me really happy. It was so funny. One of the things that I've loved about Red Scare is that people outside of the industry or who like they just don't know what to expect, and so like there would be things that we'd like have written in that were like like thematic ideas or like jokes that then get paid off later, and they'd be like, that's it's interesting because it also like that's also like this thing, like that's a reference that's like the name of something in the Cold War, and I was like, yeah, we did that. Like, we did that on purpose. And so they're red herrings that we throw into the series, and people don't expect. I feel like web series sometimes are people don't expect the same things that they expect from like TV or whatever, and so you see a red herring in TV and you're like, oh, that's got to be a red herring, like that's too obvious. And in a web series they're like, oh, that must be a clue, and it's like you really think we like here's a clue, and we weren't trying to take you out. And I think that's worked in our favor a lot because we can get away with some things maybe some tricks that we wouldn't have been able to get away with otherwise.
Totally.
Like there's one I won't say what it is, but there's a trick that we pull in episode 5 that we probably could not have gotten away with in a bigger budget project.
Wow.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
I'll tell you when we let's leave it at that then, maybe, unless you guys have any parting words.
I'm trying to think what it is now.
What?
I'm trying to think what it is now.
Well, I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to. It's it's a big thing.
Mm.
I mean, it's a big deal.
I'm just gonna wait and rewatch it when it comes out.
I'll just tell you, but not on air.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. But in the meantime, everyone who's watching this should come back next week. We will be talking about episode 4. Episode 4 will be out. Episode 4 is a really fun one. Sadly, no more Chelsea.
But you know what I appreciate? You credit me for all 8 episodes. Thank you.
Well, we didn't want to give anything away.
Anything away.
Yeah.
Well, you're still there in spirit, Chelsea.
Say that again?
You're still there in spirit.
Yeah.
Wait, Chelsea, we have one more question.
Yes, I see that. I see that. He's sitting right next to me as he typed it. Thank you. What? Why are you so sick?
That is inappropriate.
I was just born that way. What can I say?
And she's done answering that question.
Well, it's weird. He has it up on the big screen, and I can see it here. It's in 2 places at once.
Whoa.
Could be.
Wait, what was I? Totally just lost my train of thought. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That you show up in episode 4.
Oh yeah.
You get a dead body.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You get carried. That's one of the fun things about the series, that I feel like a lot of times everyone who dies gets to come back once more, be remembered. And then no spoilers, but I would say pretty much every character shows up in the finale in some form.
Dun dun dun.
So keep watching, Chelsea fans. Don't give up. And keep watching Kevin fans, because Kevin also shows up next week, not as a dead body.
And he's wonderful.
But maybe as a dead body, unclear.
Maybe. Possibility.
Oh, next week is a good one. Next week is a good one for you, Kevin. And next week is also fun because it's this is not a spoiler. This is just a teaser. We next, we had a lot of group stuff in the first few episodes, and episode 4 is one where the characters kind of split up a little bit and have a bunch of smaller conversations. So there's some really fun interactions with characters who you maybe wouldn't necessarily expect to be hanging out together. It's one of our sexier episodes, and yeah, I think that's a good way of. You guys think of anything else good about episode 4 that they should know?
I think that was a great teaser right there.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it again now.
It's fun, and that's also, it's a really good score episode. So I might try to get Giona in there.
Ooh, do it.
Because it's the one where all the music all the conversations are bouncing around, and the music keeps changing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think so.
So yeah, do you guys have any parting words?
Thanks for watching so far, and watch to the end.
Yeah, keep watching. Thanks for joining us, and yeah, check out the rest of it. You won't be disappointed.
And we will see you all next week.